I'm Alan Weiss, and this is The Writing on the Wall. Welcome back to The Writing on the Wall. This episode is called Non-Consecutive. Right now, as I'm filming this, it's a Biden-Trump election. Who knows what will happen, but right now it is. And there are some people saying, well, nobody's ever come back to become president non-consecutively. Well, in fact, that's false. Grover Cleveland was the 22nd president of the United States. When he ran for re-election, he was defeated by Benjamin Harrison, who became the 23rd president. When Harrison ran for re-election, Grover Cleveland came back and beat him that time, so Grover Cleveland became the 24th president. And in the history books, Cleveland is the 22nd and 24th president. That's what would happen if Trump beat Biden. If they did run and Trump won, he would be a non-consecutive president, and he would hold two different numbers in the charts. Now, I would mention to you a piece of trivia here, and that is that Benjamin Harrison was the grandson of William Henry Harrison, who was also president. But William Henry Harrison was the shortest-termed president in our history, 1 month, because on his inaugural, he stood outside making a speech in the pouring rain, he caught pneumonia, and he died. If Biden is reelected and were to leave the presidency for any reason, illness or, God forbid, death or decline or impeachment, Kamala Harris could serve 11 years or more if reelected herself. So she would assume the presidency as the first in line, but then she could actually run. She would be legally able to run for 2 terms, which would be 8 years plus. The 2024 edition of the Presidential Greatness Project Expert Survey has placed Biden in 14th place among all presidents in terms of quality, just ahead of Woodrow Wilson and Ronald Reagan. Trump comes in 45th, behind Andrew Johnson, who followed Lincoln and was impeached but acquitted by 1 vote, and James Buchanan. James Buchanan preceded Lincoln and did a lot to really create the Civil War. So the presidents right before Lincoln, the 15th, and the one after him, the 17th, are rated below Trump. We have 350 million people thereabouts in this country. The minimum age for president is 35. About 55% of our citizens are 35 or older. Now, my own rating of Biden would be about 20th, in my estimation. I doubt Trump would be last, but that's what the poll says, and certainly he has his unpopular moments. We've had 46 presidents, but really 45 because of the aforementioned Grover Cleveland. My point that should be emerging, I hope, is obvious, and it's this. Are these two the best that this great republic could do in terms of nominees? I mean, really. Seriously, no matter what your politics or positions, you can't think of a better person for your particular party to be running? Now, talking about particular parties, we have Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. And Robert F. Kennedy, he of the conspiracy theories and anti-vaccine hardline, who's been shunned by his own family because of his positions, is running as an independent for president of the United States. And just yesterday, he chose a woman, an attorney, to be his vice presidential running mate. Some rather optimistic polls have concluded he'd garner over 20% of the vote as an independent and change the results in several important swing states. Now, if this isn't crazy enough, he has stated before that 2 people he was considering for his vice presidential running mate were Jesse Ventura, who's a former governor but also a former pro wrestler, and Aaron Rodgers, who's the New York Jets quarterback, who was lost for the past season because of an injury in the first game, and who's rather bizarre himself. He suggested at one point during a sports interview that talk show host Jimmy Kimmel was somehow tied up with the disgraced late zillionaire Jeffrey Epstein and his sexual escapades. I'm imagining, though, that Kennedy's choice would be Aaron Rodgers, and they win the election. And then Kennedy, unfortunately, falls victim to COVID because he's not vaccinated. And Aaron Rodgers becomes president. And he calls his first cabinet meeting focused on Russian aggression. And he says, Secretary of Defense, I want you to go out deep into the Western Ukraine. Joint Chiefs of Staff, I want you to run an out route down toward the Black Sea. Secretary of Commerce, you stay here at my side, you block. I know, sounds crazy, right? But so does this election.